Let me ask you something simple but powerful. Have you ever caught yourself talking inside your head, replaying arguments, imagining future conversations, or reminding yourself of things you should have said differently? Of course you have. We all do it. That inner voice is as constant as breathing. We may not always notice it, but it is always there, narrating, predicting, judging, praising, doubting. The thing most people don't realize is that this inner talking is not just idle noise. It is the very blueprint of our reality. Think about it. If you spend your days imagining rejection, hearing in your mind the voices of people criticizing you, or silently convincing yourself you are unlucky, what do you think you will encounter out there in the so-called real world? More rejection, more criticism, more bad luck. Not because the world is against you, but because your mind has already rehearsed and laid down the track for those outcomes to follow. Life is not happening to you. Life is echoing you. Now imagine the opposite. Picture yourself receiving praise from a boss, hearing in your mind the voice of someone congratulating you on your work, or talking to yourself as though your success is already here. What happens when you live in that conversation long enough? The external world bends little by little until the scene you rehearsed internally becomes the scene you walk into externally. That's not fantasy. That's law. This is what Neville Goddard tried to show us. The simple but radical truth that speech is not only words spoken aloud, but also the silent stream of conversations we carry within. The world we see outside is nothing more than the crystallization of the words we have spoken within ourselves. You are the author, the actor, the director, and the critic of the play called your life. The script, it's your self-talk. You can see this in everyday life if you look closely. Have you ever known someone who seems to always attract drama? It follows them like a shadow. No matter what city they move to, no matter which relationship they jump into, the pattern repeats. If you listen to them carefully, you'll notice their inner dialogue spilling out. They will say things like, "Nobody ever appreciates me," or "Life is just unfair." That is their inner talking, rehearsed so many times that the world has no choice but to echo it back. But here's the good news. This pattern is not fixed. Just as you can rehearse negative conversations, you can rehearse positive ones. You can re-script your inner play, and when you do, reality itself reshapes. That's why Neville insisted that changing the world without changing your inner talking is impossible. You can fight circumstances. You can struggle against people. You can run in circles trying to fix the outside. But if the inner script remains unchanged, the story repeats. The outer world is simply a mirror, and mirrors cannot change unless what stands before them changes first. Let's pause for a second. What's the conversation you've been having with yourself today? Maybe you've been saying things like, "I'll never figure this out," or "I always mess this up." Or maybe you've been encouraging yourself quietly, "I'm getting better, I'm making progress." Those tiny phrases, repeated again and again, become grooves in the mind. They become laws, and soon they don't feel like conversations, they feel like reality itself. Neville shared a story about a young woman who constantly argued with her employer in her mind. She felt unfairly treated, criticized no matter what she did. Day after day, she held silent quarrels with him inside her head. Eventually, she realized this was the seed of her misery, so she changed the dialogue. She began to imagine conversations where her boss praised her, thanked her, congratulated her. Soon, her external experience shifted. The employer who once seemed cold now reflected the warmth she had rehearsed. Did he change, or did she? The answer is both. The world is your conversation in visible form. We can all test this. Try this simple experiment. Tonight, before you fall asleep, imagine a friend calling you with good news. Hear their voice. Don't just say the words in your head, feel their excitement. Imagine them telling you, "I finally got the job," or "I'm so happy everything worked out." Then imagine yourself responding with joy, "I knew it would happen for you." Repeat this scene a few times until it feels natural. Let it carry you into sleep. Now watch what happens in your waking life. Don't be surprised if in the coming days you get a real call from that friend, or some other joyful news drops into your life. That's how inner talking works. It plants the seed that grows into the event. This is not positive thinking in the superficial sense. It's not about pretending problems don't exist. It's about recognizing that the mind is the mouth of God, and every word it utters, silently or aloud, has creative power. You are literally prophesying your life with every inner sentence. The question is, what are you prophesying? Most of us are careless with our mental diet. We let gossip, fear, envy, and worry set up camp in our thoughts. We replay past hurts. We rehearse failures. And then we wonder why the future looks suspiciously like the past. If you want change, you must change the script. You must become deliberate. You must speak within yourself the words of your fulfilled desire, not the words of your fear. So let me ask, what is your aim in life? Do your inner conversations match that aim? If your desire is to be successful, but your inner dialogue is filled with doubt, those two cannot walk together. If your desire is to find love, but your inner voice is constantly telling you that people cannot be trusted, you are in conflict. To realize your aim, your inner conversation and your desired state must agree. Think of it this way. Your inner dialogue is a rehearsal. The mind doesn't know the difference between imagination and reality. When you rehearse words and feelings long enough, the body believes it, the emotions align with it, and life organizes itself around it. The future is simply the past inner talking walking into visibility. Some people say, but what if I don't believe it yet? What if it feels fake to imagine success when all I see is failure? That's normal. The imagination doesn't require external proof. Belief is not born from facts but from persistence. When you repeat the new conversation long enough, the feeling grows naturally. Just as a child learns language by repetition, your inner self learns belief by constant rehearsal. This is why Neville often quoted the Bible, reminding us that the word never returns void. Every word spoken inwardly carries within it the seed of manifestation. Some seeds grow quickly, some take time. But every seed once planted strives to bear fruit. Your job is not to dig it up in doubt, but to keep watering it with attention. You might wonder, can I use this not just for myself, but for others? The answer is yes. You can send a word of blessing to a friend by imagining them happy, healthy, successful. You can carry on a silent dialogue with them where you congratulate them, laugh with them, or simply see them thriving. Do this sincerely, and you'll notice the ripple effect. The invisible conversation becomes the visible event. Now, I want you to think of the bigger picture. What if humanity as a whole is trapped in cycles of conflict because of the inner conversations we hold collectively? Wars, violence, envy, all of them spring from negative self-talk multiplied by millions of minds. If individuals begin to consciously transform their inner dialogue into conversations of love, kindness, and fulfillment, imagine how the world itself would change. Every inner word is an investment, either in the world you want or the world you fear. Which account are you depositing into? This is not just a spiritual idea, it is practical psychology. Modern neuroscience tells us the brain forms pathways based on repetition. The more you rehearse a thought, the easier it becomes to think again. This is why habits are hard to break, but also why new habits, once established, become effortless. Inner talking is simply the practice of mental habit formation directed with intention. The science confirms what mystics have said all along. Change your inner speech and your brain rewires itself. And as the brain rewires, so does your world. So what should you do starting today? First, become aware. Pay attention to your inner conversations. Notice the tone, the words, the assumptions. Write them down if you have to. Awareness itself is half the battle. Second, choose deliberately. Pick a phrase or a mental dialogue that matches your desire. If you want confidence, rehearse words of confidence. If you want health, rehearse words of vitality. Third, persist. Don't give up just because the external world has not caught up yet. The external is always behind the internal. Stay with it, and the outer world will eventually mirror the inner. You are not condemned to repeat the old story forever. The old man, as scripture says, can be put off. The new man can be put on. That simply means a new conversation can replace the old, and when it does, everything else follows. So the question becomes simple. What conversation will you have with yourself tonight, tomorrow, and the day after? What script will you hand to life to perform on your behalf? Because, like it or not, your inner voice is the casting director, the set designer, and the narrator of your story. If you don't like the story so far, don't curse the stage. Rewrite the script. Your future is not waiting somewhere out there. It is speaking right now in the quiet chambers of your mind. Listen closely. Guide it wisely. Because the Word is with you, the Word is in you, and the Word will always become flesh in the life you live.